more than half of them making more than $1 million a year, and it bodes well if they're single. And that brings us to our guest this hour. She is a relationship expert, Jennifer Styers. How are you doing, Jennifer?
Good. How are you, Matt?
I'm great. Thanks for joining us here. Let's talk about this survey. This 1.5 million interactions at this dating site, AYI.com. And it turns out all men and women are nothing but gold diggers and sugar babies waiting for a person-shaped ticket to financial bliss. Is this anything new?
I think there's a lot in here. First of all, this particular study, if you notice, it compared people that made $150,000 or more and with somebody that made $20,000 or less. Mm-hmm. So it didn't really compare middle of the road to top. It compared the very lowest to the very highest. So, of course, you're going to have huge discrepancies. Yeah. So they like to do that with surveys, so I just really wanted to point that out first. So that's, I think, why the numbers are so great. I think, too, when we're looking at dating, I think ultimately if we had our wish list, yes, we'd rather have somebody that does well for themselves, not just because we want somebody that's rich, but because it also says a lot about their personality. It says a lot about who they are and if they're motivated and if they, have goals and purpose in their life. And so that can typically be linked directly to somebody's income, pretty much. Pretty much.
We talked, they had the lower rung, the 20,000, they had the upper rung, but it's also said the lower rung, they were looking for people in the upper rung there. What's going on there? I mean, why not better yourself and not have to rely on somebody else?
Of course, that would make the most sense. I think that's natural for somebody that's not making a heck of a lot of money to want somebody that maybe does. And, it's interesting, just because of what I do for a living, I will talk to women. I have the real-time statistics in my office, and the women will say, I don't care if the guy makes no money or makes $20,000 or less, as long as he's good and he's kind and all of those things. But at the end of the day, it does matter if the guy that makes $20,000 resents the woman that makes $80,000 or $100,000 or feels intimidated by it. So yeah. I think a huge discrepancy in income levels create a lot of problems for people. So they may desire it, but it may not be the best thing.
Is that still happening in this day and age? I mean, I've never had a problem with my significant other making more money than me.
It happens a lot. Men will say, I don't have a problem with it, but when it comes down, money's power. It always has been, and unfortunately, I think in many ways it always will be. And so when the woman is holding, the power in the relationship, and let's just be honest, I think from a very grassroots biological standpoint, men are supposed to be the ones in charge in the relationship, and when the woman has the power, that testosterone says that. I'm not saying that like I'm some, non-feminist or something like that. I mean, but it's just that's the way it goes. Men with testosterone need and kind of work on having some of the power. It helps build them up naturally. And so when a woman makes more and holds the power and starts making the decisions and leading that relationship, it takes away a little bit of the man's power and masculinity and leadership ability.
We're speaking live with Jennifer. She's a relationship expert. So, let's say you're a single guy and you're making, if you're concerned about this, by the way, because a lot of guys aren't, but, well, not a lot. I shouldn't generalize. But let's say you're making $150,000, $200,000 a year, and you're looking for a woman, or in the case of a female maybe making $150,000, $200,000, and you're looking for a person who is genuinely interested in you. What precautions do you have to take, and do you put yourself out there freely necessarily?
Well, I do think that's a great question, is that I think I have seen people get mad at the kind of women, like the men getting mad at the kind of women they're attracting and calling them gold diggers. But unfortunately, if you have a lot of money and you're going pick up your date in a Lamborghini and you take her to the most expensive restaurant and you give her a gift, you're perpetuating that whole idea. So if you are somebody with a lot of money and you don't want to be loved for that reason, you need to probably scale down your dates and your lifestyle until you know that the woman is interested in who you are as a person versus the kind of things and resources that you can give her.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, really, that's reality, and that's just something and you take into account 150,000 in California.
Yeah.
Right? That's not a huge wealthy person out there, right? The cost of living in certain places, New York City, that's not a lot of money to make. So where'd they do the study? But I think overall, sugar mamas, gold diggers, all of those kind of things, those things will always be around, and there'll always be people that want to come in and take advantage of that. I think the best way somebody can protect themselves is living simply and trying to treat it, trying not to use money as leverage. There it is.
So has it always been this way? Can I get you to hold on through the break? Because this is fascinating to me. And if you want to take some callers, we can at 415-808-0810. 808810 is the number. Matt Ray sitting in on KGO Radio 810. Sunday morning, Matt Ray sitting in KGO Radio 810. Taking your calls at 415-808-0810. 808810 is the number. We're speaking live with relationship expert Jennifer Styers on this new study. 1.5 million interactions at the dating site AYI.com. Men and women, they're looking for somebody who makes money. Has it always been this way, Jennifer?
I don't think so. I mean, I think in some communities, that this has always been present, but I think values have changed. I mean, you look at women, let's just say 30, 40, 50, well, I guess 50 years ago, they looked for a man that could support their life and their lifestyle and children, and most women didn't work, and it was just a very, very different world that we live in. And we're also looking at some new trends also now with women making a lot of money, being more educated, which is great, making a lot of money, which is great, but it's thrown another wrench into the dynamics of relationships too, and that is, what if the woman makes more money, and how do you handle finances? We're seeing a lot of people separating finances now, separate bank accounts, and not combining their money when they get married. So we've got a lot of different dynamics that work with money these days. Money's a big deal.
Is that a good idea, in your opinion, or does it just depend? It just depends on the situation.
I think it depends on the situation, but I definitely think that when you combine your life, you combine everything. And if you try to separate this and that, it could create issues. If you're going to have separate bank accounts because you don't want to answer to somebody else for spending, then that's fine, but you should have one that is combined as well.
What about a dating prenup? We talked about vetting the other person and seeing if they're right for them. What about a dating prenup?
I think there's too many conditions on love today. I mean, you look at online dating, and I think one of the problems with the reason why stuff like that does not work is because, where one person, goes out with somebody, they've got, maybe that person's not perfect, which who is? Of course they're not perfect. But the minute that they see a flaw in that person, they tend to say, oh, well, that person's not exactly what I'm looking for. I can go home and I'll have 200 emails from other, potential matches in my inbox, so I'll just try to go out with them. And it perpetuates this vicious dating cycle, which makes people lonelier, where we need to value relationships and give them time and extend people grace and understand that they're not going to be perfect, but, kind of what am I looking for, and what are my deal breakers, and, can I put time and energy into getting to know this person inside and out?
I saw a statistic the other day. More people are living together as a family and aren't getting married. What's going on there?
There's some huge statistics that way. The one thing I will say about the statistics of people living together instead of marriage and prior to marriage, we do see, because I have studied it, some pretty big lines in income. It's definitely something that the people that are not college educated and are making lower income levels, that's a choice that's typically being made by that demographic.
That's interesting.
Yes. Well, it's also not taking into account gay and lesbian lifestyles as well. I mean, those numbers are pretty big and grand, but they've definitely narrowed it down to a certain demographic.
And then we have more women who are making more money. They're choosing not to have kids now, too.
Yeah, women, this is my opinion, and, women can say whatever they want about it. Women have become too independent, and there's the whole women's liberation movement, but the more liberated women become, the more it demasculates a man and doesn't allow him to be who he needs to be and wants to be, and biologically needs to be. And so I definitely think that it's great and I'm a woman, I have a career, and I'm all for it and making my own money and all that stuff, but it shouldn't take away from allowing a man to be a man and, being feminine for our partners if that's, something that's important in that, dynamic of a relationship.
Well, that's interesting that you said that, because I immediately jumped to my situation and how I was raised, and I have a very strong mother. I'm surrounded by what I would call strong women, strong, right, independent women, and it's all I know. And I don't think, maybe you'll have to ask them, but I don't think I'm less of a man because of it.
Right. Oh, absolutely not. And so if you've always been surrounded by strong women, you're going to be attracted to strong women. Yeah. And they're probably less intimidating to you as well from that standpoint. But what happens when you're with a strong woman and, she wants things her way, and she wants to spend money her way, and she wants to buy the house that she wants to buy, and she wants to dictate how you spend your money? What do you do there?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Well, no. We generally come to a consensus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just issues that need to at least be brought up if that's going to, if that's what you're attracted to and you at least know it, you need to know the potential downfalls and challenges that you could have down the road with that. Yeah. It's great that you can handle a strong woman, and good for you, because a majority of them are to this day, yeah, especially the younger generation. They're becoming more educated. They have more money. They have more power. And interesting, what we do see amongst that younger generation is that the 20-something women are becoming more empowered and more independent, and the 20-something men are attracted to the older women because they like the feminine woman still. So there's a lot of dynamics that we could go into 10,000 different conversations about this, but it's a huge challenge for women who are independent. Women have to just basically learn how to balance their strengths with also being a woman.
What role does the man play in all of this, though? You said it allows a man to be a man, but we're focusing a lot on women.
Well, I think a woman tends to dictate a lot in a relationship. Mm-hmm. Even though, let's just say for you, a man is maybe attracted to a strong woman. What happens down the road when he's got that strong woman and that those things are getting in the way? Or take into account the other thing. Let's say a man likes taking care of a woman. He makes a lot of money. He likes that woman that is dependent on him. At some point, he's going to get tired of that. So men and women alike need to figure out what it is that they want in a relationship, what it is that they're looking for, what is the balance.
Yeah.
Where's the happy medium? What long-term ability can you live with?
Jennifer,
and be clear on that.
Out of all of this, what I've gathered is I'm glad I'm no longer single and dating.
It is a different world. It
yeah.
really, really is. Some of the challenges that they face now, I can't even fathom. But I am seeing that this younger generation is hitting problems with this balance of money and the balance of power that money creates. And we're going to have to learn how to find a way in all of this to work together and all of that.
Wow. You just blew me away, and like I said, I'm glad I'm no longer on the market. Jennifer Styers, the website is jenniferstyers.com with a Y. Anything else you want to add, Jennifer?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Like I said, it's lots of dynamics working here, so I didn't mean to blow you away.
No, that's fine with me. Hey, I'm, like I said, I'm off the market. Hey, everything. I appreciate it though. It was great insight. Jennifer Styers, the Love Coach. Thank you very much for joining us on KGO.
Thanks, Matt.
415-808-0810 is the number. 808810 is the number. What'd you make of all that? Feel free to chime in at 808810. 415-808-0810 is the number. You can also follow the conversation on Twitter. Wow. That's a lot to take in. A lot to take in.